Hello, universe. Hello, universe. How you been? How you been? 6 days without you. 6 days without you having to listen to me in your confessional has probably been good for you. But, let's face it, universe, you have a great day every day. That's why we're all so jealous of you. Unlike us humans, who can tend to have great days when we have everything work out for us, or when we're in that kind of mood that just can't be beaten down, or when we're just in a situation where, holy fucking shit, man, this is great, which just doesn't happen as often as it should. But that's okay, because I'm not here to be pessimistic. No. As a matter of fact, I haven't been pessimistic in years. Not that I'm optimistic. Let's not do that old earthling binary A-B thing. No, not on this one. Let's just say I'm somewhere in the middle, and where I am today is, of course, filled with self-love because I'm fucking great. And because I'm also, what else am I today? I'm in a creative mode, but I'm solving problems more than anything, which to me, if you want me to have a great day, I need to help somebody out, I need to forgive something of consequence, and I need to feel creative in a way that has problem solving at its core. And frankly, if you could just give me that once a week, once a month, okay. I get it a lot more than once a month. That's what she said. No, should I stop using that's what she said? Is that no longer a joke you can potentially find true responsive humor from, because it's loaded? I'm not going to think that one through yet, but thinking things through. Could that be the theme of the last week? Yeah, it could be. It could be. But then getting shit done could also be the theme of the last week, which makes me very unsure if I had the week I think I had, because getting all of those two elements in the A+ charts, no, I'm not very good at that. But that's kind of the week I've been having, so I got to be honest. Which is why I haven't splattered a bunch of recordings up here trying to go through my angst, since my angst hasn't really been all that angsty. It's been more like, well, yeah, we could do that, but why don't we just finish up what we're doing in the kitchen and then move on and get some shit done in the backyard? Kind of feeling. Which is long overdue. I know if you've been listening to this, you're like, fuck yeah, that's long overdue. Fuck. I hope you mowed. You did, didn't you? Well, go get the gasoline, you idiot. Not that the front yard doesn't look great, because it does. It's the backyard that, needs to be mowed. But I don't have a dog anymore, so it's not all that big a priority to keep the backyard looking great. I miss my dog. All right, we're not here to talk about my dog. What we're here to talk about is my failure, which I know, shocker, I fail at things all the time. But what I failed at this week more than anything was figuring out how to clean up the recording I laid down Monday about money. And I don't know that I can clean it up here. In fact, what I'm having trouble even conceiving of is how money emerged, where it came from, what the societal impulse was that drove us into finance as a means of exchange between us. And the areas in which I've tried to mentally investigate, because this is the kind of societal component today that is so entrenched in our entire machination as a society, fluidly getting shit done and taking care of our wants and needs to the best degree possible, that it is hard to think of a situation where money doesn't exist. But money didn't exist for a long, long time. In fact, there's no real tales of money that come through all the ancient lore. And I'm talking the way ancient. Go back to Egyptian records and things like that. There are debts and credits. There are debts and credits all over the universe. But there's not money as the solution. And I know if anyone is listening to this thinking, well, yeah, but you don't have debts and credits without some sort of accountability, and money's the accountability. That's the easiest way to do it, or we would all revolt and do whatever your easier way of doing it would be. Okay, maybe. But what I think to that is, or Did we move so far away from doing the things that are just why we're here that we became laborers to systems that are irrelevant and have no meaning? Like economics, like politics, like the law. And then it's like, but wait a second, you're talking about a society without laws? No. I'm talking about a society with accountability and morality. The laws are the laws we came with. You don't get to more precisely guide behavior toward the good. You're just limiting people from being the moral, upright citizen they came here to be, and then learning from any circumstance against which we agree we could have done better. Well, if we could have done better, then we know what we should have done to be good. We know what it is that we wish we hadn't done before, and now we're moving toward a higher level of existence in the good. But if all we do is get told when we've done bad, then all we do is set up an expectation that A, sooner or later we'll be need to told that that's not good. Or B, that becomes the role in which we look at and view every other thing around us when it comes to human activity and interaction. Well, okay, that's not bad enough to call out, but that is. What the fuck are you doing, man? You can't do that shit. Don't make me create an entire legislative body, draft something called legislation that then turns into law so that I can have something called a police officer come over here, arrest your ass, put you in jail for that shit. Don't make me do that. Pause. Unlikely on pause. Well, it wasn't that unlikely. Sooner or later, I think it was going to happen. But let's say unlikely to have been as quick as it was, because I would never do that, right? Like, that's so much work, first of all. But second of all, alternatively, instead of that rigmarole being some sort of a way that we try to make ourselves feel like we're advancing spiritually and becoming a better version of ourselves as we transverse through this experience of life. Well, no, I would just say, okay, wait a second, dude, why did you throw that rock and kill that robin sitting on that fence post? Why did you do that? I would like to know, because I find what you did absolutely abhorrent. I would never have done such a thing. Never. I still would not do it. Even having seen you do it, I think, God, why did you do that? So now I want to know, why did you do that? Well, let's see. When I was 4 years old, my uncle came in my room and told me that he was going to talk to me about, I don't know, something to do with Indians. Oh, okay, stop. So you're saying that some sort of way back there trauma that still consumes you at times with anger and fear made you lash out in an aggressive manner toward an innocent bird. Well, I may not want to start all that legislation shit, but maybe I should start a field called psychology. Okay. So here's my problem with the entire concept of illegality, punishment, yada yada. As a moral being, which every single human being is one, or I'm not talking to any of the shape-shifting reptilians. I'll just keep that clear. You're not involved. Or you're involved, but you're not human, so none of what we're going through matters to you. But to the humans who I'm now speaking to, if you don't understand morality upon arrival, then you are thinking too far forward. You need to go back to the part that you got hurt. And on Earth, it's so easy to get hurt that you don't even know you got hurt. You think that what you went through was the loving embrace of your immediate surroundings as much as it could be given to you, and the rest of it was about you standing up and gaining the strength and courage to become a more fortified version of yourself. And you don't want to go back there and look at anything back there as having impact, because if it does, that means you were too weak to become something bigger than that moment. But that's not true. That moment wrecked you. Deservedly. Because Life is supposed to be just a gentle breeze floating across windy butterfly paths filled with gold rain showers. It really is. The whole bullshit about heaven on earth is true. There's no heaven. Heaven is a stasis of non-activity, no consequence. That isn't the ideal of embraced physical reality, all flowing with your energetic resonance. That is heaven. That is what life can be. And you sign up for that. You have all that intention built into your divine manifestation. And then bam, this is what you get. Ah! Fuck! Right? Yeah, right. But seeing that, understanding that, and then coming to grips with the fact that this is actually what you signed up for. That despite the fact that it isn't heaven on earth, it's still yours entirely to create that robust, emerging, vibrational, dominant, resonating energy in a society filled with opportunities to be discordant. You have advanced to the point that you're bored with perfect manifestation. You are an incredibly capable entity being given an opportunity to challenge yourself higher than anything regular manifestation can provide. In other words, you're as advanced a student as the universe knows, undergoing tests that are so extreme you can't help but become a more sentient creature. That's what you're doing. And so trying to figure out how to convince you of that is impossible. However, if you think you're underperforming, if you have these intuitions of I'm doing the wrong thing, or I just am sidetracked on a mission that I'm not even sure I remember to bring the notes about, then now's the time to slow shit down. Because if you're not driven and engaged by your environmental exchange and activities right now, you should be. And to do so, you need to just slow everything down and ask yourself what your life is missing. And you need to commit like a motherfucker to whatever answer comes up. Not just, yeah, I'm going to, what am I trying to do right now that's best? I'm going to get a job. I know this is something I'm doing because I can't eat without it. But what I really am saying is I just need work. I need exchange for enough to get my life stable with food and energy that the rest of my time I can do what I'm driven to do. So it may not be that you don't have needs in your life that supersede even your drive. If I don't get a job by the end of next week, I'm probably going to start starving. Literally. I've strung out my resources to that point. But I had to do that because I needed all this time to connect into myself to determine that I'm, in fact, following the path the way it will most help civilization. And having looked inside and come to that conclusion again with a slight refined version of where I'm going helped and motivated me to no end. So I don't ever think of motivation as something that I need to have the activity around me synchronize enough that it dawns on me, click, here's where my motivation should be. No, I have to look inside. I have to question myself, and then I have to come up with answers that, like them or not, I have to believe in as they emerge and then follow that direction. I may have to shut something down that I fucking love because there's no time for it now. Things need to move over here and your emphasis has to start focusing on this. Okay, damn it. Well, I know in the long run that's where the return and the emphasis of energetic exchange will be the most meaningful. So off there I go. But getting to relay, I hate this stuff because the only way I ever want to teach anybody anything is through example. If it's not working for me, if it's not elevating the consciousness of the society nearby as I say it will, if I'm not gaining the wisdom and return of soul fulfillment that I say my actions are, then none of it matters. And you can't know that unless you are with me. And as fractured as we become, the one thing that I know is true is that I just have to keep diving back into civilization as far as I can go. I have to surround myself with as many people at all times as I can. I have to go into your environment if that's what it takes to get you out of your fucking shell of conformity. The one that you bop around in regularly is not big enough. You need to be exploring at all time. If you're not an adventurer, your life has way less meaning. And as much as I want to adventure into every heart in America right now and remind you of the spirit that it is you're trying to fulfill while you're here, well, in some ways, it's up to you to do that for yourself. So, this is about now, 50-something minutes of wanting to talk about money but not being able to figure out how to get there. So I'm going to flip this next section into discussions about money again. But if you can just remember that on this path, you learn the most important things you learn inwardly, but you grow in the most important response to what you learn outwardly. I love having an epiphany about myself because I know I'm going to immediately apply that as a new tool in my arsenal in navigating the reality that is 8675309 Earth. And if all I'm doing is trying to be kind, understanding, and forgiving, anything that comes into the arsenal that gives me another chance to throw that to the universe feels like purpose. Because this is a loving universe caught up in a system of self-loathing. And anyone listening to this, you don't love yourself enough. It's that simple. Once you do, you'll find purpose. Once you know what your purpose is, you can have destiny. And once you know what your purpose and destiny are, now all you need to do is continually refine your own offerings to the universe to achieve that. And your life goes great. Lee. Is that right? Is that an adverb there? Goes greatly? Yeah, I think it goes. Your life becomes phenomenal. And that we all want. I'm going to wait for 1818 just to be synchronous. Pause. Ungloriously. So when you come to consider money, it's like, okay, when I come to think about military, standing armies, yada yada, that shit, I can sort of see without having to think too hard how they came about, where they came from, and what the fuck they're doing here. I dislike the entire enterprise that makes that so, because we're so much better than that, but I get it. We've fallen here, and as a result, look what we got. Guys with guns patrolling our streets. Okay, so it is. We're not here to talk about our violence, our tendencies toward killing each other, or any of those other awful, awful things. Nope, we're here. Well, I guess it's almost as awful, but it's only awful in the control that it initiates, and then the way it infects societal expectations after that control has been established. And that is my best friend. Well, not my best friend, but maybe yours. Money. Okay, money. Unlike the military, it is hard for me to think, okay, well, that must be when we thought, you know what's going to solve this, and the only thing that's going to solve this, and fucking when it solves it, we're going to be like, oh my God, we so needed that. Yeah, pesos, francs, dinero, Is that a real money? Probably not. Yen. Drachma. Pounds. Quid. Somalians, if you're in the Warner Brothers universe, but we're not. We might as well be, but we're not. So here we sit thinking, yeah. Fucking money. Money. Gotta have more money. They call me DJ Money. Oh, they call me Kid Money. Nope, they call me Money Rock. They call me Rock of Money Brawlter. They call me Money. It's what my parents named me. It's the only name they gave me, so I know it's silly, but they call me Money. Well, Money, here's what I have to say to you. Your parents had sex and so you were born? That's how this happened? What are your parents then? Evil and more evil? If society, in its basic form, needs these things, which I believe is a complete list, but maybe you'll disagree. Society needs farming or food production. Society needs food prep and storage. Society needs shelter. Society needs textiles, clothing. Society needs livestock for various purposes, which could fall under food prep, storage, and farming as well. But there are enough other needs that livestock fulfills that they're in their own category. Basic society needs educators. Basic society needs baby makers and parenters. Basic society needs explorers. Basic society needs healers. Basic society needs communicators. In other words, someone to help distribute information throughout society. And basic society needs security. And I can already hear agendas rolling through your head about what a communicator is versus a security person versus an educator versus a goddamn shoemaker. I get you. But how society interacts, proceeds, and moves forward, I think, is society's own encumbrance. If we didn't want that, we wouldn't gather as one into a group of all trying to produce something better than we can as individuals. We would just hunt, gather, and fucking do our best, let the cards fall where they may, and hope for a better day. That's how we'd be living. But we're not. So, since the manifestation I selected included societal organizations, instead of just, those berries look good. Ah! I didn't know there was going to be a saber-toothed tiger in here. Fuck. Nope. I decided to come down into all this sticky glaze of unfortunate discharge and try to think, how can we clean it all up? So going back to the simple has been my strategy for life. If I can move back to the simple, organize my brain in a way that all makes sense, then I can come forward into the complexity of nonsense that this is and figure out why we got here and why we should have probably gone a different direction from the get-go. So when it comes to money, well, where in this organization of people do you need money? Well, your explorers can only explore so much if they don't have somebody funding their adventures. So we're going to need to come up with some way to swell resources enough to support that activity. Maybe. But I see exploring as the way you more and better understand the environment around you, of which you do not have immediate interaction on the daily go. So your explorers should only be really needing a little bit of extra whatever to get out to do the things they're going to do. And then advantageously, anything they discover that makes us a more robust execution of ourselves is the reward we get for their adventuring. So it's on all of us to decide if that's not worth it, then we can just keep them home and let them be livestock maintainers. But if it is worth it, and I think most basic societies would agree that it is, well then, yeah, we will produce enough to send them on their adventures collectively. And if that means that they get one extra pair of shoes in the month of October as they explore from everybody else, we all know why they're doing that. And that then might become the slight tilt of the wheel towards something that looks more prestigious that could then start the imbalance that necessitates things like ledgers to keep track of who owes who what. But why does that even occur? Does it become so onerous to be a farmer or someone who builds houses? Maybe that's all it is. Maybe we somehow are taught that in a well-functioning basic society, it's not good enough to be a baby maker. I mean, well, but if we lose the baby makers, then we don't have a basic society. Okay, so it's not good enough to do food prep. You should be growing the food if you had fucking any talent. Okay, but if we don't have somebody storing and prepping the food, we're might as well go right back to fucking hunting and gathering. That is the key to civilization. It's one thing to figure out how to plant a fucking plant. It's another thing to know how to store that shit for the winter. So again, unless you're doing something outside of this, like politics or law or whatever, well then you're as critical to society as you could possibly be. Without you, we don't have society. And so sometimes when I think about thanking people for the fucking basic jobs that need to get done, who nobody else ever thanks them, the reason you see such a response there is because they know that they're a linchpin of functionality, but nobody gives a shit. Because, yeah, we need somebody to pick up the fucking garbage. We agree. But when was the last time you ever even thanked your garbage collector for the work they're doing? They know they're essential, but nobody else gives a shit. And so, well, then it's much better to become a teacher. Oh, yeah, because we really, wow, the way we treat teachers, fucking love them. Okay, but those communicators, those motherfuckers, they have too much power. Well, okay, maybe. But that's how communication is kept in check, is by the value of the information they're distributing among us. If they're not doing the job well, then we cultivate a new communicator and figure out what our static is that's not getting this distributed one-to-one to one-to-one and has some sort of inherent bias or advantage built into the information distribution. Or we don't have a free press. And look where that puts us. And I apologize to the rest of the world. I really do. America looks like a place that has the kind of values that would transfer into an enlightened society of constant ascension into a truly ethereal version of what civilization can be. We have the talk, but we do not walk the walk. We are, in fact, hamstrung by the very institutions upon which we have developed our ingrained trust of progress. They have become so specialized and captured that they are now entities of unique participation in this whole thing, doing something completely counterproductive to the good of the many at large, including the rest of the world. But it's specifically to us here in America. So what the Federal Bureau of Investigations could have been is about the opposite of what it truly has manifested into today. And with all that institutional capture, the individual is fucked. The only thing that's going to fix America is a collective realization that we are, in fact, the power structure and the good, and dismantling that which has now systemically started working against us. Coming together to do that is the evolution and the escalation of moral character that will reharmonize the world. But I don't know how close we are to even exposing that situation as real, let alone attacking it in the collective. So while you sit there and think, what the fuck is America doing? Well, number one, you think that rightly. And number two, hoping to find its soul. Good morning, audience. For once, I speak not to the universe, but to you. If for some reason you're listening to this, in whatever format you are, there is a play speed adjustment indicator that will allow you to at least get to 2 times speed. Do it. And if you can't tolerate 2 times speed yet, you will be able to soon enough, starting at 1.75, 1.7, somewhere in that range. Once you have listened to 10 minutes of me at double speed, you'll realize how slowly I speak. And you'll just think, well, what was I wasting all that time before with, This is the one time I'm giving you back a gift that only you can appreciate. More free time. Something we all deserve. Listen to me at double time. Do something that you didn't want to be doing in the first place while you listen to me. And you'll knock 2 things off your list that are on your frustration list if you don't. Pause. Okay, here at 11:57 on the 4th of May, I would be dismayed if I didn't pay homage to my guardian angel in the cartoon universe, the only one that truly exists. Well, I don't know. She might not exist. I don't check in on that. But the influence of my cartoon guardian angel has been well documented in previous episodes. If you care to go look, why you would, I don't know. But in a karmic gesture to the universe at large, I have to say that this is a day that matters to people who understand the universe's opportunities are fleeting, and that the losses experienced in the human life condition we all signed up for, well, some of the only comfort those losses can receive are the occasional gestures of people who know you're hurt. So, as cryptic as this message is, it's intentionally obfuscated because the person for whom it's intended, well, to them it's not cryptic at all. And to them I say, please enjoy your life and all the gifts it gave you to the absolute maximum capacity you can. I will never think anything different. Pause. Pause. All right, if you put up with the cryptic overtones of the previous minute and 30 seconds and are still listening, first I'd say, no, you're not. You didn't even hear that last part. You were thinking about something else, and that's why you're still here, because now you're tuning in because I asked if you were listening. If you listen to the last minute and 30 seconds, you've already clicked delete. You already stopped the recording. You've done everything possible to get somewhere else other than to here. So since you're here, well, I would like to give you a public service announcement regarding reality. So let's turn it over to our sponsor, who is, I will be Dr. Michael Levin, or at least his vocal impersonation on this podcast. No offense intended, Dr. Michael Levin. I find you a fascinating, free-thinking man. So in somewhat of a man crush on you am I, but not in a weird way, just in an intellectual way. So we won't be telling my parents. But I do think your question, which of these 2 options, given you must choose one, do you favor? Either you could have an experience, like let's call the experience parachuting out of an airplane. You can have the experience, actually physically go through the entire activity that it is to jump out of an airplane, but once you're done, you will never have the memory of it again. So you just get the physical, now is the moment experience of doing it. Or you can instead have the memory of doing it implanted in your head, and never actually having done the activity, you will for the rest of your life have a memory of doing it. Which one would you choose? And now back to the show. Pause, unpause. Unpause unintentionally. Actually, no. I unpause at this point with great intention, because I hear out there the truly elevated among you, and expect there to be way more than even this American can envision. But your response of, okay, you've been on that expansion pack adventure for decades, you soulless bastards. Like, that's the hope of the world, is for America to find its soul? Oh, we're fucked down here. Okay. Well, okay, we could, I suppose, deconstruct the entire world economy and get rid of the petrodollar influence that makes America such a piece of shit when it comes to violent insurrection across this planet. But that is a direct result of us finding our soul. Why do you have any reason to hope? Well, this American, the one speaking right now, the one you've heard throughout this entire diatribe of confessional nonsense, this one finally understands that I have a soul. Now, this realization of self came unexpectedly and without the sort of path forward I would have been walking normally to have such epiphany. Nope, this one beat me over the head, and then I said, fuck off, get out of my room. What are you even doing in here? Get out of my room. And then after politely knocking for 4 or 5 years, I said, what? And after another 3 years of conversation one-on-one and experiences that confound me to this day, I said, well, I just didn't know. I mean, there's so many messages telling us that this is it and it's chaos, and I just didn't know that there was a connectivity to a bigger purpose. And this isn't the kind of, well, I'm better than you moment you should be thinking ever. In fact, realizing you have a soul comes with the pressure release of knowing that you are glorious, but so is every other one of us. It is the great equaling of serenity and respect toward all. Except you shape-shifting lizard people. We're still not happy about your presence here, but since you're here fucking things up, making things hard. Well, let's get back to that money part about... All right. So you're in this harmonized situation where all needs are being attended to because the needs are fairly simple. We're just doing what we can. But then your explorer in the world goes out there and he comes back with this artifact that it's like, oh my God, he found this golden mask. It's so cool. It's got this snake on the forehead. I mean, put it on, you look like a 12-year-old boy. Watch. Seriously, it's fucking awesome mask. And now we have this single item, this one-off, this covetable thing that, well, what do we do? Does everyone just get it for 7 days and then we pass it on to the next house? They get it for 7 days, we pass it on to the next house for eternity? We'll call it the 7-day enchantment mask? Oh, well, we could try that system. Right? We could. Or what? We could create something called artifacts of our great civilization, things that we've discovered that make us feel groovy, and charge people smiles to get in and look at it. I mean, that seems pretty fair. We could do that. Well, so we'll do that initially. We'll see what else we come up with. If we can figure out another problem to solve, maybe we'll finally have a need for money. But so far, I don't think the explorers bring back the kind of stuff that makes us think, we need money. What about the baby makers? Is there anyone here who's going to argue that making babies is a pursuit that would be better with money? No. Good. Well, what about our educators? How do they get the prize of passing along information to our youth? Who are these people? Well, why aren't they all of us? Isn't it a critical component of society to educate the young with everything we know? To give them the opportunity to take what's been accumulated and tack on that which might make us more robust as a capable civilization? So why are you not teaching our youth? What's your purpose? I don't know. It seems like something, if you're not aspiring to, I wonder why. Well, maybe you're too busy over there doing that animal husbandry stuff. Maybe you're finding and breeding horses for us to take off as explorers and adventurers and to use as our communicating conduit of information in a speedy and faster than man capacity. Maybe that's too much of a passion for you that you think educating who? Because I got all these squires and these interns I'm dealing with over here already. Right? Because whoever you are, if you do food prep, well, goddamn, anybody interested in that got an apprenticeship waiting to happen, because that's what we are. We're exchangers of information. We are sharers of what we know. We are people who love to see other people interested in things that we can help them learn better. It's a role we love to fulfill because it's meaningful. So I just don't see where money comes in yet. Well, what about the security guys? Nobody's going to take up extra danger without reward and return. Okay. So we got to give them something because they're doing the dirtiest of the work. Or our security's on all of us. Again, I'm not saying that we don't have a need that can be fulfilled from a group communication of, well, all the bears that keep coming in and stealing our little niños and then eating them in front of us right by the campfire. I mean, it's gotten to the point it's like a horror movie. I think we should put some fencing up. Okay, well then that's your security team. I'm not talking about having people patrolling the streets with guns like we do in today's society. See, I think that part's broken. I think of conceiving of security as something that is achieved by a society that knows it can depend on the society itself for the betterment of all of us. That's what real security is. And does that include a standing army? I don't think it has to yet. Maybe our explorers will get to the point that the next push for communal security includes a standing army, but I don't think the baby makers are going to demand that. I just don't. So at some point, if this is how society maneuvers forward, you've got to imagine specialists emerge, right? Those who are doing the textiles, well, there may become the textile genius who comes up with silk fabric, and it's a new thing. And he doesn't want to show the rest of the world. This is something he came up with in an industry that he is the world leader. He wants to be recognized for that. Well, then, that imbalance is no more than some level of museum wing. Right next to your golden mask, you have those who have achieved the greatness that moves us forward. We recognize the people around us for everything they're doing that gives society an impact that is beyond the contribution of everyone else. But being the person who gives that contribution, that has to be something everyone is aspiring toward. The greatest among us are imagining fulfillment personally that is a roller coaster of constant up. If everyone doesn't have that attitude about why they're here and what they can achieve, then again, that's another place where society broke. It's not about getting the advantages that come with having done something like invented Post-it notes. It's about us all knowing who invented Post-it notes because it's such a great idea. We all think, wow, I wish I could have been J.L. Mellon. I don't know who invented Post-it notes, so don't fucking look that name up. I'm just making up names. It's just, we're being motivated by the wrong things. And it seems like the fundamental layer on which all of that may sit could be coinage. Because even if your animal husbandry industry has some communication with the adventurers who find a rare animal and you bring back the elephant. We've never seen that before. What a fucking great animal. I mean, again, this is what society is collectively gaining its street cred within, are these moments that are wow moments for all of us. And so your security team in fending off saber-toothed tigers, somebody finally invents the concept of the rock hammer. Nobody had ever thought of this before. What a wonderful idea. You can just slug those saber-toothed tigers with a rock hammer and you've got a 30% better chance of living as opposed to a 100% chance of dying. Now, who wants one? Oh, all the hands in society go up and now you've got demand, right? Now you've got demand and no supply. So all of a sudden you see your food storage people thinking, well, fuck, man, we should start making rock hammers and sell those motherfuckers. Look what's happening over there. Sell them for what? Well, we sell them for education? I don't know. I mean, again, even if you invent something unique that everybody's got to have, well, then why isn't that just, you've created an entirely new section of humanity here. Going forward, we're going to need arms manufacturers. Write that in. I mean, we must have written that in sometime, right? All right, well, what about when society's humming so greatly that now you've got the dilettantes, the artists, the playwrights, the critics, the TV actors, and all of the young children they covet? What about them? Well, I imagine without money, they are just in it for the passion of performance, of entertainment, of providing the world at large something to reflect upon, to share. The creative urge is in all of us. How that manifests, I don't know. But I don't see where the dilettantes demand some lifestyle that brings money in. I don't even see where government and loose Senate structure of overall administration and legislation, passing resources around, determining how society best functions if we have excesses here and we have exploration here. I mean, I can see where the concept of the scientific method leads to a whole new path of distribution of emphasis for the society at large, because who knows what might be discovered here. So our education morphs with that. But again, I just don't see where money comes in yet. And then, well, maybe that's finally where a standing military comes in. And then we have to somehow finance these people who could only be needed in the most extreme of circumstances. Firemen, another example. But no, I think it comes down to something rather simple. Because none of this yet implies one concept that, once sold upon, necessitates money forever. And that to me is ownership. So once we determine this is mine and not ours collectively, well, now we need money.